Hello, this is 19 Justin Brown 88. That's not my real name, but that is what I go by on YouTube and on the internet. And we're talking today about transhumanism, how transhumanism is preparing the way for the Antichrist. We have a quote from Arthur C. Clarke, the famous science fiction writer and author of the 2001 Space Odyssey. Here's a quote from him. He said, "It may be that our role on this planet is not to worship God, but to create Him." He said again, "It may be that our role on this planet is not to worship God, but to create Him." End quote. Transhumanism is defined by Oxford dictionaries as, quote, the belief or, now that's oxforddictionaries.com, quote, the belief or theory that the human race can evolve, especially by means of science and technology. Another humanist, Marvin Minsky, wrote this statement, which appeared in the Scientific American magazine in October 1994 issue. He said, quote, "Once we know what we need to do, our nanotechnologies should enable us to construct replacement bodies and brains. We could design our mind children to think a million times faster than we do." End quote. Then another humanist, Eliezer Yudkowsky, a transhumanist, said, quote, "Transhumanism, a million-year lifespan. If it's possible, why not?" End quote. So the idea is transhumanists want to make someone who can never die or someone who lives a very long time. Now, how does this tie into the Antichrist? Well, the Antichrist in the book of Revelation is called the Beast. Being a human-like creature, but not fully human, he's called simply in Revelation as the Beast. And this beast creature has supernatural powers, and you could call him a superhuman. For instance, he can die but appear to rise back to life again. He also has power to subdue the whole earth so that people will say, "Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" Revelation 13, verse 3. No man or woman on earth will be like this creature. They won't have his power, they won't have his abilities. It's impossible to come up with this with human technology. The concept of a superhuman man matches with the beliefs of transhumanists. They are looking forward to a time when humans will supposedly engineer themselves into something godlike or supernatural, as they think. Now, humans did not create the beast, and they cannot create anything like this beast from Revelation. But what I'm proposing to you is that the Antichrist, which Revelation calls the beast, is not a human being. He's a hybrid who was engineered by this very intelligent enemy of mankind, the devil or Satan. And the devil, I believe, was using human and fallen angel DNA or genes in a manner similar to what happened in Genesis chapter 6. So we'll talk about Genesis chapter 6 a little bit later. Now, I also believe the Antichrist is basically like what you would call a marionette of sorts or a demonically controlled puppet. And you can see that in Genesis chapter 6, and I'll explain about that. So this video, we're going to just go down now to this one section we have. I have an article online where you can read it, and it's on my blog. You'll see the link below. But anyways, the first point that I want to bring out, if you want to call it like by sections, would be the impossibility of transhumanism. So transhumanism is an impossible concept for mankind to realize or achieve because God said in Romans chapter 1, verses 21 through 23, that man changed God's glory into an image made like to corruptible man and other creatures. And then Romans 6, chapter 2, 5 through 6 says that God will judge men according to their deeds or actions. It does not say that man made himself into a superhuman. So they make these graven images, they make these false gods. But the scripture does not teach anywhere that man suddenly evolved and made himself into some superhuman. That's something that is impossible for men to do because God forbids it. And God also doesn't prophesy anywhere in the Bible about that happening. The only mention I have in the Bible of anything like that would be the Antichrist, or fallen angels marrying human women. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So Romans 1:23 says, quote, "And change the glory of uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things." Now that's from the King James Version. But again, I'll just read that again. So it's saying man, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Then that was Romans 1:23. Then Romans 2:5-6 says, "But after thy hardness and impenitent heart treasures up unto thyself wrath against the day of wrath, and revelation of the righteous judgment of God, who will render to every man according to his deeds." End quote. That's Romans 2:5-6. So since God is going to judge wicked men for their deeds, like he did in the days of Noah, before the flood, we know that the human race cannot be able to create superhumans. And also the Bible does not teach that man will ever create superhumans, like I already mentioned. Now, what I believe is that the devil can come up with genetically modified creatures, like puppets, which demon entities can control. And he did that in Genesis 6. See, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they wanted to marry them. They wanted to have children by them. It says that there were mighty men of renown, men of old, and it also says in Genesis 6 how they were giants in the land in those days, and also after that. These giants were not human beings, and the sons of God were not the sons of man. They were the sons of God. They're angels. Their dad is God. In other words, God spoke them into existence, and they have no mother, they have no father, they are just spoken into existence. See that in the Bible where it says that the sons of God came to heaven, right near the gates of heaven, I believe, and they met with Jesus at the throne of God, and they report to him what they saw in the earth, what they're doing in the earth. And Satan comes among them, and he says, "Oh, let me see if I can tempt Job, this righteous man." And so there you have the sons of God and their angels. So that's in the book of Job, chapter 1, and I believe it's also chapter 2. But anyways, that's not something that we want to focus on too much here in this video. We'll just go into this. You may wonder why I think giants were puppets for demons. The truth is that God cannot put a spirit in the body of a human-angel hybrid, because God only can give humans or angels eternal spirits. Every human being is created with a body, soul, and spirit. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, as Psalms 139 says. But a hybrid formed between a human and an angel cannot be given a spirit unless it is a demon spirit. That is why I believe that the Antichrist is not a human being. He is entirely controlled by demons, which are smarter than human beings since they are fallen angels. Another way of putting it, the Antichrist is just a demon in a body. He's not just a man that came out of Europe or came out of South America. No, he didn't come from any continent on this earth. What happened is someone allowed him to get their DNA, and then the devil was able to engineer it with fallen angel DNA to come up with the Antichrist body. Then demons came into that body and took control of it. And so that is why the Antichrist has supernatural powers and supernatural abilities which are not human. And you'll read about that in Genesis 6, and you'll read about that in all of the book of Revelation, especially in the parts that talk about the beast and the false prophet. Now, the Antichrist is going to use his supernatural power and influence, and people are going to be required on all over the planet. They're going to be required to get a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, according to Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18. We don't know from the Bible what exactly this mark is, but people who don't have a mark cannot buy or sell. Unless, and here's the caveat, if there are people that are in a village in the middle of the Amazon rainforest or in the middle of the Congo, and there's no electricity flowing to them, There's no good roads going to them. They're basically off the grid. They're not going to be in the system, and so they're not going to be required to buy and sell because they don't even buy and sell anyways, for the most part. So there's not going to be any need for them to get a mark of the beast. Not every person on planet Earth is going to be in the mark of the beast system. And some of these people in these remote villages, I believe, will turn to Jesus for salvation during the tribulation when they see all the signs that are manifested in the sky and the heavens, the trumpets, the destruction. They'll turn to God. So now, people that don't have the mark of the beast cannot buy or sell, it says in the Bible. So the mark, what is it going to be? Some people say it could be an implant, like an alien implant, if you want to call it that, or a sophisticated device of some kind that can register your name, your social security number, and it can put it into a big database, and it can store everything about you in this supercomputer. And it could, I believe the Mark of the Beast does have that aspect to it. Some people think it's a computer chip. Some people think it could be some type of a tattoo. But whatever it is going to be required to have. And I actually personally believe it is a type of implant, and it has gene altering properties or genetically modifying properties about it somehow. And I believe it will actually, quote, augment humans to make them appear or feel that they're somehow, quote, transhuman. Even though they aren't transhuman, I believe it will do something to the DNA of people to alter them. That way it'd be like the fountain of life, or the fountain of youth, I mean. The idea that there's some sort of thing out there that can enhance your life and make you live for a very long period of time, or forever.